All right, everyone, welcome to Sunday service for this week. This week we're going to focus on goals, setting and achieving goals. Of course, leading up to New Year's, a lot of people like to set goals, set their New Year's resolutions. And there's actually some really good science on how to set achievable goals and then how to modify your settings to be able to actually pursue them and achieve them in the long run. So I thought it'd be good to think about and reflect on as you go into setting your New Year's goals and talking with your friends about your New Year's resolutions, what good ways are to do that. So many of you might have heard of the acronym SMART for goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-constrained or time-based. So there are a couple of variations on those. One for realistic is focused kind of on resources. Do you actually have the resources to make this happen? And then achievable means, is it realistic that you are capable of achieving said goal? So learning how to fly without an airplane, like using superpowers, probably not achievable. If you're learning to fly with an airplane, probably achievable, but then do you have the resources to be able to pay for that? Some of the different pieces of it. I like the acronym because it's simple and it helps you focus in on some certain things. The ones to me that are most important are specific, measurable, and time constrained. If you don't set time constraints on your goal, oftentimes we let goals sit in the back of our head that, yeah, I'll accomplish that one day. But if you say, no, by this date and time, I will accomplish X, you're much more likely to actually get it done. So there's some really good research from Oxford in the psychology about some of the benefits of goal setting itself. So one thing that choosing specific, difficult, and challenging goals leads to is general high performance for yourself. Reasons are, or how you can do that is focus on goal-relevant activities and then ignore those that are irrelevant, right? So if you have clear goals, things that you're passionate about that you really want to achieve, you tend to let other stuff that is not as important fall to the wayside, right? It helps us focus on the core actions that we need to do to actually achieve our goal. So let's say it's getting in shape for a marathon, right? You know that there are certain things you have to do by certain timelines to be able to achieve that goal. And so while it may be easy to watch a TV show or relax on the weekends, if you have a specific goal, you tend to push those other things to the side and then focus your energy on the things that are actually making you move forward. So it doesn't matter really what your goals are, but having the goals helps to focus your activity. So then there's putting the effort and the persistence to attain the goal. The combination of specificity and difficulty, it says cue the search for strategies to achieve the goal. So when setting a goal for yourself that is challenging, it actually forces your brain to do problem solving, which is something all of us need. And particularly as we age, if we feel like we've achieved our goals, like we've got a family, we've got kids, we've got a house, it's very easy to then kind of rest on our laurels and say, I guess I've done enough. I don't really have to achieve anything else. I don't have to learn anymore, right? And of course, that leads to cognitive decline in the long term because there's nothing that is forcing you to learn anymore, to pursue some sort of objective. So of course, for this to occur, going back to the SMART objective, an individual or team has to have the ability and the resources to be able to attain the goal. So that's why it's important to set SMART goals in the first place. Because if you're setting goals that you can't achieve, then it's very likely you're going to get discouraged from setting goals in the first place. And then finally, and very importantly, feedback is something that you must have to make sure that you're actually achieving your goals, and particularly if your goal is a bit more long-term. So running your first marathon is kind of a long-term goal that can often take a lot of preparation to do. So if you're not doing anything to test yourself as you're preparing for that, you might go into the marathon thinking you're ready when you're not, or you might not go to the marathon thinking you're not ready when you are. So having feedback is important, just like with any task that we do, to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So I'll post that link later, so for those who are interested, you can actually go look at the research on how setting goals is beneficial and then how to set those goals successfully. So how do you actually accomplish a goal? So let's say we set a SMART goal. And our SMART goal, I hear a lot of people talk about losing weight for the new year. Losing weight to me is not a goal. Even if you say lose 10 pounds by 6 months, that's great, but for what purpose? Where's the why? One of the things in the Oxford study talked about is something that you are pursuing with passion. And some other links that I'll share later say the same thing. You got to be passionate about what you're pursuing. So are you trying to lose weight just because you think you should or because you're passionate to do it? Instead, I would challenge folks who are looking to lose weight to think about specific physical goals they are looking to achieve. And particularly in terms of fitness. I would like to be able to run a 10 or 9 or 8 or 7 or 6 minute mile. And in pursuing that specific goal on a certain timeline, let's say by 6 months or a year, you will lose weight. But it's not about losing the weight, it's about achieving a fitness goal. So when you're thinking about your goals, you got to really think about your why. Because if you don't have a strong enough why, it's going to be almost impossible to achieve a goal because you don't have the passion to do it. But another piece of achieving a goal is not just passion. You can be passionate about something and still let other stuff in life get in the way. The other key, from my perspective, on achieving goals is having discipline. And another way that's been phrased in some recent research is grit. I think we've talked about it in another service a little bit, but grit is the ability to make yourself do something difficult or challenging. So there's a researcher, Angela Duckworth, who talks about grit. There's a book about it. I don't remember if it's just called Grit, but I really recommend reading some of the research. There's also a Freakonomics podcast about it, where they mention her specifically. And then she also has a TED Talk, which I would recommend watching. That I'll link as well. But the ability to have grit, the ability to make yourself do hard things, is to me the key to success in life. If you have natural talent but no discipline, you're unlikely to get something accomplished. If you have discipline and no natural talent, I think you have a better chance of actually accomplishing whatever it is that you're aiming for. And then if you have both natural talent and discipline, then you're really set. But to me, discipline is the key thing. I know a lot of smart people that have accomplished nothing because they have no ability to make themselves do something harder than what they are already capable of. So, how can you make yourself more disciplined? And how can you basically hack your environment to make it easier to either be disciplined or to achieve your goal, to stay on track? There are a lot of ways to do that. And I think a lot of times we feel like when we set a goal, we just have to, in our minds, make ourselves do it. And there's a lot of research on there about, research today about decision fatigue. In any given day or any period of time, we only have the ability to make so many decisions before we run out of energy. So I forget exactly what the numbers are, but there's research that shows we make something like tens of thousands of decisions a day. Whether or not to go around somebody in traffic, how we craft an email, how we write a text, which words we use. All of those are little decisions that eat away at our ability to marshal our energy to do something hard. So you can hack your baseline. So doing things like telling a friend you have a goal hacks your baseline because you've now introduced an element of peer pressure. And even an element of guilt. It's like you're using guilt and peer pressure for something positive versus something negative. So by telling people, hey, I'm going to go do this, by getting other people involved so that there's some social connection to it. Also setting things, so this is something I think Matt came up with. It's called an option, not an option. It's something we talked about in a service before, but it's a great word. Setting things as automatic no's in your mind, and again, letting other people know about it, help remove the opportunity to make a decision, the opportunity to waste energy on deciding something that doesn't need to be decided. Therefore, you save your energy for the time where you know you have to make yourself do something hard. So another way to help increase your resistance to decision fatigue is really thinking about the decisions you make in a day and determining if they need to be made. So one of the guys who did the research on decision fatigue started to hack his own baseline when it came to decision making. Whenever he goes to a restaurant, he picks the second special. Doesn't matter what it is, he'll take the second special. So he doesn't have to decide what he's going to have to eat. He knows it's going to be something that's going to change all the time because it's a special. And he just decided the second one for whatever reason. Or when choosing a restaurant, I think he had like a list of things, and he would make his friends choose one, and that's the restaurant they would go to. So I know my wife and I have a similar thing where if she has to pick the restaurant, it will take us a while until we decide on one. But if I give her 2 restaurants to pick from, she'll pick a third one, and then we'll be happy. Joking a little bit. She'll usually pick one of the 2, but sometimes she'll just pick her own thing. But you can do that. You can hack your baseline to the point where you're not spending your time and your energy making decisions you don't need to. You're not spending your time on things that don't achieve your goal. And therefore, you stay more on track. Your tasks are better aligned, and you actually can achieve it. Of course, so if you have a long-term goal or a goal that's big, you of course have to break it down into intermediate goals. That's something that's important. But doing things like reporting to other people, hey, this is how I'm doing on my goal, even if they don't care, even if they seem even the slightest bit interested, will help keep you accountable to achieving whatever it happens to be. So to recap, set SMART goals, ones that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and things you have resources to do, and time constrained. Always set a deadline for yourself. It's good to set goals because goals continue to challenge us. They make us learn. They give us the opportunity to expand ourselves and to better ourselves, which of course is one of our main goals in the church. And hack your baselines. Do things that help orient your decisions and help eliminate decisions so that you can make yourself do the hard things. And then, of course, foster grit by continuing to challenge yourself and realize that once you achieve small goals, you can continue to do that and achieve greater goals. If you're able to do this, of course, you're able to achieve just about anything. And so with that, I wish everyone a happy new year. I hope they set good goals for the year, and we'll see you in the year to come. So I also want to finish on the note to orient everyone on what we've accomplished in the year. So we started hosting services in June for our Humanist Church. It's been a little over a year since we started working on kind of the foundations of it. We've had a good number of members and folks come through. We've got a regular group that comes, a congregation, if you will. We've been volunteering at Cyport and helping them get their facility stood back up, and they're about to open their second floor back up in about 2 months. And so I think we've had a great start to our first year. So in the year to come, some of our goals, general ones, not that specific yet, are to up our technology level a little bit so we can broadcast better and incorporate the audience a bit more, diversify the kinds of opportunities we share. So I'd like to have more discussions, debates even, interesting topics. And then, of course, I'd love for more people to come in, people who maybe don't have a place in a religious church in the area, and that we could be a home for those people. So with that, again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in the year to come.